Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel, leave your like and your comments. God in the heart. Genesis 37. 1. And Jacob dwelt in the land of his father's sojourns, in the land of Canaan. 2. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph being 17 years old, he was tending the sheep with his brothers. Being still young, he went about with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought bad news of them to his father. 3. And Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and made him a coat of many colors. 4. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all of them, they hated him and could not speak peaceably with him. 5. Joseph had a dream, which he told his brothers, so they hated him even more. 6. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream, which I have dreamed. 7. Behold, we were binding sheaves in the midst of the field, and, behold, my sheaf rose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves surrounded it, and bowed down to my sheaf. 8. Then his brothers said to him, Will you indeed reign over us? Will you indeed have dominion over us? So they hated him even more for his dreams and his words. 9. And Joseph had another dream, and told it to his brothers, and said, Behold, I have dreamed yet another dream, and, behold, the sun, and the moon, and 11 stars bowed down to me. 10. And when he told his father and his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, What is this dream that you had? Shall I, thy mother, and thy brethren, come and bow down before thee to the ground? 11. His brothers therefore envied him. His father, however, kept this matter in his heart. 12. And his brothers went to pasture their father's flock beside Shechem. 13. And Israel said unto Joseph, Do not thy brethren feed near Shechem? Come, and I will send you to them. And he answered, Here am I. 14. And he said to him, Go now, see how your brothers are doing, and how the flock is doing, and bring me an answer. So he sent him from the valley of Hebron, and he went to Shechem. 15. And a man found him, for behold, he was wandering in the field, and the man asked him, saying, What are you looking for? 16. And he said, I seek my brethren, tell me, I beg you, where they feed. 17. And the man said, They are gone hence, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. Joseph therefore followed after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. 18. And they saw him from a distance, and before he came to them, they plotted against him to kill him. 19. And they said to each other, Here comes the chief dreamer. 20. Come now, therefore, and let us kill him, and cast him into one of these pits, and we will say, A wild beast ate him, and we will see what will become of his dreams. 21. And when Reuben heard it, he delivered him out of his hands, and said, Let us not take his life. 22. Also Reuben said to them, Shed no blood, cast him into this pit, which is in the wilderness, and lay no hand on him. He said to deliver him out of their hands and to return him to his father. 23. And it came to pass, when Joseph came to his brothers, that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the tunic of many colors, which he was wearing. 24. And they took him, and cast him into the pit, but the pit was empty, there was no water in it. 25. Then they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes, and looked, and, behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead, and their camels brought spices and balsam and myrrh, and were going to take them to Egypt. 26. Then Judah said to his brothers, What profit is it if we kill our brother and hide his blood? 27. Come, let us sell him to these Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, because he is our brother, our flesh. And his brothers obeyed. 28. As the Midianite merchants passed by, they lifted Joseph out of the pit and sold Joseph for 20 pieces of silver to the Ishmaelites, who took Joseph into Egypt. 29. So when Reuben returned to the cave, behold, Joseph was not in the cave, so he tore his clothes. 30. And he returned to his brothers and said, The boy is not, and where will I go? 31. So they took Joseph's coat, and killed a young goat, and dipped the coat in the blood. 32. And they sent the tunic of many colors, having it brought to their father, and they said, We have found this tunic, know now whether or not this will be your son's tunic. 33. And he knew it, and said, It is my son's coat, a wild beast ate him, surely Joseph was torn in pieces. 34. So Jacob tore his clothes, put sackcloth on his loins, and mourned for his son many days. 35. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted, and said, For with weeping I will go down to my son to the grave. So his father wept. 36. And the Midianites sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, Pharaoh's officer, captain of the guard. Genesis 38. 1. And it came to pass at the same time that Judah went down from among his brethren, and went into the house of a man of Adullam, whose name was Hira. 2. And Judah saw there the daughter of a Canaanite man, whose name was hers, and he took her to wife, and had her. 3. And she conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Er. 4. And she conceived again and gave birth to a son, and called his name Onan. 5. And she continued still and gave birth to a son, and she called his name Selah, and Judah was in Chezib when she gave birth to him. 6. Judah therefore took a woman for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. 7. But the firstborn of Judah, was evil in the eyes of the Lord, so the Lord killed him. 8. And Judah said to Onan, Take your brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up offspring for your brother. 9. Onan, however, knew that this offspring would not be for him, and it came to pass, when he went into his brother's wife, that he spilled the semen on the ground, so as not to give offspring to his brother. 10. And what he did was evil in the eyes of the Lord, for which he also killed him. 11. Then Judah said to Tamar his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow in your father's house, until Selah my son is old. For he said, Lest this man also die like his brothers. So Tamar went and stayed in her father's house. 12. So after many days had passed, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and when Judah was comforted, he went up to Timnah to his sheep shearers, he and Hira his friend the Adullamite. 13. And they told Tamar, saying, Behold, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep. 14. Then she took off the garments of her widowhood and covered herself with a veil and wrapped herself and sat down at the entrance of the 2 springs that are in the way to Timnah, for she saw that Shelah was already great, and she had not been given to him for a woman. 15. And Judah seeing her, he took her for a harlot, because she had covered her face. 16. And he came to her on the way and said, Come, I beg you, let me have you. Because he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What wilt thou give, that thou mayest possess me? 17. And he said, I will send you a kid from the flock. And she said, Will you give me a pledge until you send it? 18. Then he said, What pledge shall I give you? And she said, Your seal, and your cord, and the staff that is in your hand. What he gave her, and he possessed her, and she conceived by him. 19. And she arose, and went, and took off her veil, and put on her widow's raiment. 20. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adullamite, to take the pledge from the woman's hand, but he did not find her. 21. And he asked the men of that place, saying, Where is the harlot that was on the way by the 2 fountains? And they said, There was no prostitute here. 22. And he returned to Judah and said, I have not found her, and the men of that place also said, there was no harlot here. 23. And Judah said, let her have the pledge, lest we fall into contempt. Behold, I have sent this kid, but thou hast not found it. 24. And it came to pass, that about 3 months after, it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath committed adultery, and, behold, she is with child by adultery. Then said Judah, take it out, that it may be burned. 25. And taking it out, she sent to her father-in-law, by the man whose are these things I have conceived. And she said further, no, I pray thee, whose seal this is, and this cord, and this staff. 26. And Judah knew them, and said, she is more righteous than I, because I have not given her to Salem my son. And he never met her again. 27. And it came to pass at the time of her giving birth that there were twins in her womb. 28. And it came to pass, when she was delivered, that one put away her hand, and the midwife took it, and tied a red thread on her hand, saying, this came out first. 29. But it came to pass, as he drew back her hand, behold, her brother came out, and she said, as thou hast broken, the breach is upon thee. And they called him Perez. 30. And afterward her brother came out, in whose hand was the red thread, and they called his name Zerah. Genesis 39. 1. And Joseph was taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, Pharaoh's officer, captain of the guard, an Egyptian man, bought him from the hand of the Ishmaelites who had taken him there. 2. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his Egyptian master. 3. When his Lord saw that the Lord was with him, and in his hand all that the Lord did prospered. 4. Joseph found grace in his eyes, and served him, and he set him over his house, and committed all that he had into his hand. 5. And it came to pass, from the time he had made him ruler over his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had, in the house and in the field. 6. And he left everything he had in Joseph's hand, so that he knew nothing of what was with him, except the bread he ate. And Joseph was handsome in appearance and in countenance. 7. And it came to pass after these things, that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and said, lie with me. 8. But he refused, and said to his master's wife, behold, my master does not know what is in the house with me, and he has given into my hand all that he has. 9. There is no one greater than I in this house, and nothing has withheld from me, except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such wickedness, and sin against God? 10. And it came to pass that as she spoke daily to Joseph, and he would not listen to her, to lie with her, and be with her. 11. It came to pass one day that he came to the house to do his work, and none of the household was there. 12. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and went outside. 13. And it came to pass, when she saw that she had left her garment in his hand, and had fled outside. 14. He called the men of his household, and spake unto them, saying, behold, my husband hath brought us a Hebrew man to mock us. He came to me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. 15. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me, and fled, and went outside. 16. And she laid her garment near her, until her master returned to her house. 17. Then she spoke to him in the same words, saying, the Hebrew servant, whom you brought us, came to me to mock me. 18. And it came to pass, when I lifted up my voice and cried out, he left his garment with me, and fled outside. 19. And it came to pass, when his Lord heard the words of his wife, which spake unto him, saying, as thy servant did unto me these words, his anger was kindled. 20. And Joseph's Lord took him, and delivered him into the prison house, in the place where the king's prisoners were confined, so he was there in the prison house. 21. But the Lord was with Joseph, and extended his kindness to him, and gave him favor in the eyes of the chief jailer. 22. And the chief jailer delivered all the prisoners who were in the prison house into Joseph's hand, and he ordered everything that was done there. 23. And the chief jailer was not careful about anything that was in his hand, because the Lord was with him, and everything that the Lord did prospered. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel, leave your like and your comments. God in the Heart.